Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Gene Fithletics official channel. My name is Sakshi, and I am the co-founder and CTO of Gene Fithletics. So, Sushant, welcome to this beautiful episode. And together, this is our first episode. So, I would like you to start with some good details about. Let's talk about precision nutrition today because this is something somewhat of a very hot topic, and people they are confused. They think that diets like keto, Mediterranean, Atkins, lot of other names. These are related to precision nutrition. So let's just clear this out for a lot of people.
Let me first talk about, first of all, thank you for the introduction. And, it's to let everyone know we are, you know, early risers. So it's 5:30. We are recording this, and, so
It's like a
what?
satsang. It's like a satsang happening early morning.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, let's talk about, before nutrition, we should talk about the state of the uh, diseases which we are dealing with right now, right? So I compare this with, the 13th century plague, which wiped off one third of the world population, and people didn't know why they developed plague, why they died of plague, and those who died, their family member thought it is, a sheer bad luck, right? But now we know that how it is developed, how we can get rid of it, and it's not a problem. So it's like it's like history, right? But when we talk of chronic disease, we are in the same fate right now. We don't know how it developed, right? We can just and we just blame bad genes or bad luck, right? And this is one of the most uh, you know obnoxious claims that your genes are bad, right? It is because of bad genes. It's nothing like that,
So you mean to say it is not bad genes? I mean, a lot of people say it is bad genes.
So you have to understand the fact that your genes which you get from your parents, right, which is around 25,000, which by the way is hardly 1% total genes expressed inside your body, right? So these genes are static, boring, and they do not change during life. So if you have to sequence your DNA, right, when you are healthy versus when you were sick, probably you had type 2 diabetes or you had cardiovascular disease or any disease, your genes would be same, right? And if your genes were the responsible for this, then why you are developing a chronic disease at the age of 30, 35, not at the age of 2, 3, 5, right?
That
So,
makes sense.
right, so essentially during the cell division process, there are certain mutation which happens, but our cell machinery is smart enough to repair those mutations. Only mutations which survive are gets converted into rare genetic disorders, and these are rare, right? So it has nothing to do with your genes, but what changes is the expression of those genes, right? So coming on to case, what we have done is we have built, made a lot of pharmaceuticals, spent trillions of dollars for making pharmaceuticals that can manage the disease what we already have, rather than spending money on application of very science of technology, which can help us understand the root cause of number of range of chronic diseases, right? And as of now, we have all science and technology in place to prevent and cure mostly chronic disease and cancer, right? So what changes, right? So there is some changes happening in our biology and chemistry during the onset and progression, or even before that, of chronic diseases, and we or our healthcare system has still not understood, right? So these changes is nothing but your genes expression, right? And which is one thing is really, really interesting and fascinating, that the 99% of genes inside our body are not human. They are microbial. So, trillions of microbes living on inside our body, right from our mouth to our small intestine, to vagina and female, to skin, scalp, everywhere nasal, everywhere we have microbiome, and they actually they influence a lot of biological functions inside our body, right? So if you really want to take care of your health, probably you have to take care of microbiome and whatever we eat, right? Come under nutrition, whatever we eat is you're feeding your microbiome, right? So,
Okay.
so
Yes.
in simple words, when you feed your microbiome, you feed with them with something, they feed you with nutrients, and that keeps you healthy and hearty, right? So the idea is to take care of it, right?
So,
And
so, so,
again,
ha
yeah,
so here
yeah.
I have a question that
Yeah.
it's like the microbiome is eating the food that we eat. They're like consuming the food that we eat. That's going to the intestines, right?
No, no,
And the
so let me explain here. So whenever we put a fork inside our mouth, right, there are hundreds and thousands of molecules going inside our body, right? So
yes,
for
yes,
for us, it is broccoli, vegetables, kidney beans, rice, or whatever it is, right? For the body, it is a sack of molecules, right? Now, these food or the sack of molecules are first available to microbes in our mouth before it is made available to us. So these microbes in our mouth actually pre-digest and pre-process these foods and make sure that all the nutrients in the food are absorbed either in small or large intestine, right? And they also send signals to various body organs telling them what is coming their way, right? For instance, if you are consuming something sweet, right, it will send a signal to pancreas via that microbiome that something sweet, please start releasing insulin, right? And these are the kind of interactions. So whatever is food is available is first available to you, to your microbes, and then the food which you can be easily absorbed through your digestive enzyme in your small intestine, probably that is absorbed. The remaining part goes to your gut microbiome. Now, so a lot of these molecules when they hit your gut, so gut microbes living there start metabolizing it. So consider this as a chemical factory, right? So all these molecules are going to a chemical factory. All these microbes are workers. They actually process these chemicals and convert into byproducts. Right? And these byproducts is nothing but poop of microbes. Right? So these byproducts either give you nutrients or toxins. If you release toxin, it stimulates your immune system, and then your immune system starts doing inflammation. So whatever disease symptoms you have, it's an outcome of inflammation. So that's how you uh, there's an onset and progression of disease happening, and it is not something which happens overnight. It is something which is it is not a wrong diet or a wrong food eating one day. It is a series of wrong choices. Right? That's why we call it lifestyle diseases, right? But it's just a name. There's a need to understand the biochemical functions inside the body. That is really, really important.
okay. Well, that's pretty interesting because, as a layman, people need to know this. So, which comes to my next question. We've seen a lot of companies being funded, probiotics, over the counter, products, and then there are a lot of companies that are claiming, okay, reverse your diabetes and uh, what diets they are selling and the kind of CGM machines they are selling. Some they are saying reverse your diabetes, right? Now I'd like to say here that diabetes is such a hot market for everyone. Everyone wants to encash this, but are they really concerned about helping the patients out? Do you
Yeah.
think
So
that
you
and also, do you think that these solutions really work for somebody who's actually going through that condition?
so for that you have to first understand 3 points here when it comes to nutrition, right? So the current nutrition practices, right, are based on three things, right? One is population studies, right, which assume that every human being is an average, right? So whatever, if you're saying drink milk, eat green vegetables, have chicken, whatever suggestions you are giving, right? These apply to an average individual, but you are not average.
So
Every individual,
so these you mean to say these are applying for an average healthy
yeah,
individual, right?
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, you are not. So don't talk it healthy. So I'm saying from a your biochemical uniqueness perspective, right? So average individual means it assumes that this will be beneficial or harmful for everyone, right? And it misses out studying the unique biochemical individuality of every individual, right? So every individual's microbiome, as I said, right, it is important. It is the key in understanding the nutrition. So 95% of the microbiome is unique in everyone. So you and me would share not more than 5% of the microbiome, right? So there is a lack of biochemical individuality. Yeah, there is something called universal unhealthy diet, like artificial sweeteners, processed foods, oily stuff, right? All the uh, junk stuff, right? So all these are universally healthy, but there's nothing called universal healthy food, right? First thing. Second thing, most of the recommendations are done by nutritionists. And I'm sorry, I'm telling about nutrition and coaches, but this is the fact, right? Most of the interventions are devised by nutrition coaches, which is based on their own past experiences, belief system, guesswork, and anecdotal evidences, right? So if they'll say, okay, it works for, so let's assume spinach works for Sakshi, so it will work for Sushant also. It doesn't work like that, right? So again, as I mentioned, the food is a sack of multiple molecules. How those molecules interact with every individual is what matters. Third point is all these, you know, uh, not so worthy enough bloggers and influencers who start promoting fat diets, right? Like high protein diet, calorie deficit diet. There's a lot of these fitness
We
companies.
are living in a TikTok and Instagram generation, so people tend to follow these things. But yes, you're
Yeah,
correct. Correct. You're
yeah.
you're absolutely correct here.
So the thing is that all the fitness companies say eat a lot of protein, eat less carb, maintain, eat less calories, So these are the general recommendations given by people. If simple common sense, if these diets were really working, we would have solved issues like type 2 diabetes by now, right? So there is no scientific evidence which says that high protein diet is going to benefit. In fact, it is counterintuitive. I'll probably share that people who are consuming a high protein diet, they are increasing the risk of developing cardiovascular diseases, even diabetes,
And
even cancer.
even they say low carb, right? I mean carbs, they have made carbs
How,
like a fad. I mean
so
carbs
how
is
do you
very
define
essential.
carbs? How do you define carbs, right? So so again, you are just focusing on protein, carbs, and fats, right?
Only
you have to
three
you have to go
molecules.
beyond the macronutrient, understand what molecules, compounds, or chemicals in your food, right? That is really really important. And stop counting calories, right? Understanding your biochemical functions, that is important. So the correct set of nutrition interventions, to answer your question, is just waste of time and money, right? Nobody, so to understand this, your food has 25,000, 30,000 molecules. Now you have, you know, 238 trillion microbes in your gut, right? Which are expressing around 2 million genes. So let's assume even if, at one point in time, only 100,000 uh, bacteria are active, expressing maybe 100,000 or 200,000 genes, right? You see the kind of molecular interaction and data, right? There's a huge molecular data happening. Now, as an individual, you and me or anyone, even doctors, have no ability to decode every single interaction inside the body, right? So you can calculate 30,000 into 100,000, right? How many data points you will get? So nobody can tell you, in fact, what you should eat, what you should not, right? So I see a lot of these dietitians, even who say that we are dietitians for celebrities, will start saying, even for children, start saying eat a lot of almonds. And eat a lot of these cashews and egg and a lot of these things, right? So I could tell you, right, if you talk of eggs, right, eggs is really really a great food. It gives you a lot of building blocks for your body, right? It is also good for your brain, but it has something called lecithin. Now lecithin is a molecule. If your microbiome is active, specific microbes, they can convert lecithin into TMA, which goes into liver, gets converted to TMAO, which is one of the independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease, right? So, so I'm just giving you one example here, right? So that's a kind of interaction happening. So nobody came out, everyone, nobody, not even me or Sakshi, can tell you what you should eat, what you should not, right? So all these fad diets, all these recommendations, all these VC funded startups are just crap and waste of money. It's just waste of money of investors, waste of money of consumers, patients, and waste of time. And
I
they are
feel it
just
is FOMO. It is like a FOMO, fear of missing out.
they are just making Facebook and LinkedIn rich. That's what they're doing.
Ah, that I forgot the ads.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyways, so I think let's talk about what we have built over these years. How we as Gene Fithletics, we are helping people uh, to improve their lives, right? And let's talk about what kind of molecular signatures we have built and how it is impacting an individual's life.
So first understand that our body has when we take we consider our microbiome, right? We have a lot of molecular data. There's a lot of molecules inside, which what call is chemistry, right? Biology plus chemistry. There's a lot of this chemistry going on inside our body, right? So when you talk of all these, biochemical functions, right? So it is, when you take your biological sample, whether it is saliva, whether it is your stool, right? There's uh, millions of, molecular interaction happening, right? So when we take one biological sample, whether we're talking oral microbiome, gut microbiome, whether it is saliva or it is, stool, right? We generally collect 100 million plus of molecular data points, right? Which is again, which tells a lot of these molecular features happening inside the body, biochemical functions, right? Now, this is something which you and me as individuals cannot understand, right? So we convert this into, genes expression data sets, right? So again here technology comes into picture, right? So we use our cloud computing algorithms to convert these 130 million molecular data points into 100,000 genes expression, that is at least 100,000, right? So this would give you a combination of different alphabets, like for genes ATCG, for genes expression ATCU, right? So again, this is something which you and me cannot understand, right? Even our system cannot understand. Now, we need to convert these genes expression, whether some genes are overexpressed or underexpressed, right? Based on that, we need to convert that into various biological functions or biochemical functions, right? This is where our algorithms comes into picture, right? So we convert these from 130 million to 100,000 genes expression to around 50 biological pathways, right? So we measure and quantify. We measure your chemistry. In simple words, we measure your chemistry starting from molecular data to gene expression to your biological pathways, right? You measure your chemistry. Now, each of these biological pathway is linked to your biological function. So based on that, we can tell you what is going on inside your body at a molecular level, which has still not been reflected in your plasma risk or your blood works, right? Now these forms basis for your nutrition interventions, right? So in simple words, now you see we have 50 pathways where we are mapping this with 30,000 plus molecules, right? So we are going to tell you, okay, for instance, I generally take example, almonds, right? We think almonds is good. We consume a lot of almonds, right? Almond is really, it has a lot of antioxidant. It also has oxalic acid. So now if your microbiome doesn't have bacteria active expressing genes which can actually, neutralize oxalic acid, almond is really bad, right? So you can't say, even I've seen people eating almond having, high insulin spikes, right? And it will never show up in your blood works, right? Because it is all these things are happening at a molecular level, right? So similarly, we map these things, right? And we carve out the nutrition interventions for you, right? Which is again, 100% data driven. There's no human decision. There's no guesswork. There's no entrepreneurial. There's no belief systems here, right? The objective is to feed your microbiome with a molecule which can make your microbiome produce anti-inflammatory or beneficial byproducts, which can give you health, right? And suppress those activities of those microbes, which can convert certain molecules into pro-inflammatory activities, which can lead to, toxins and production of toxins, which can stimulate your immune system, which can make you, you know, uh, develop disease. So, first, again, thing I want to mention here is nothing called as good or bad microbes, right? A single microbe has the capability to produce both pro-inflammatory chemicals and anti-inflammatory chemicals, depending upon what you're feeding it with, right? And what genes they are expressing. So that is the basic of precision nutrition. There is no, so we have serviced 300 customers till now. There are 300 different diets, right? It is not, our I think which works for Sakshi would work for Sushant also, right? So it's completely data driven. There's no need of nutritionists, coaches, doctors, biotechnologists here, right? It is all your data which is speaking about you, right? So in simple words, we are creating your biochemical persona. We are asking your biochemical persona, okay, how my what genes are being expressed, what my microbes are doing, how my immune system is reacting to it, how my endothelial epithelial cells are reacting, right? What is my glycemic response to various foods, why I have food intolerances, right? How I can move from unhealthy to healthy state. So it's like creating a virtual individual of yours in terms of every single biochemical function and asking them what you should do, what you should not, right? So that's the beauty of it, right?
I have a very interesting question here. So, what exactly are we giving when we say it's nutrition recommendations? What exactly it is, and what does it looks like for a person? And do you actually need a nutritionist to carve out your diet plan when we are giving these recommendations?
Okay, that's interesting question. So I'll tell you. So as I shared that we map these pathways with various food molecules, right? So there are two ways to look at. There are two levels here. First thing is we have also built an prediction model where we can predict the onset and progression of type 2 diabetes, right? Having said that, it also incorporates the predictive glycemic response or insulin response to 300 plus foods, right? So first we map these 50 pathways which with 26,000 plus molecules, which covers around 320 plus foods, 70 plus supplements, 30 plus probiotics, right? And that is another layer when we add is we see your insulin spike to various foods based on 17 biological pathways, right? So a food may come from out of 50 pathways may come in an enjoy list, right? So we bifurcate food into superfood, enjoy, moderate, and avoid. And again, we tell you how much of each food you have to eat and what is the frequency you have to consume, right? And then we also see if a food suppose is coming almonds for instance, again same example, is coming in joy list because of a lot of stimulating antioxidant production, right? But your glycemic response to almond is high because of oxidate metabolism, right? So probably
I think if you show us this thing, it'll be really great. If you show
okay,
us the
okay,
what exactly the recommendations look like.
okay, sure, I'll show. So, this is the basic of we take your biological sample, right? We collect your molecular data points, we convert to 100,000 genes expression. Then we use mathematics to convert into 40 biological pathways for 10 full body scores, right? This is the pathways, right? Here we convert into again 17 pathways that predict the insulin spike to 320 plus foods, right? And again biological pathways which are different pathways, right? These are mapped with food entire food ontology which covers 30,000 plus molecules. Now these come to we derive then nutrition intervention based on anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory activities, right? As I mentioned, we have to feed molecules with the microbes that can promote production of anti-inflammatory byproducts and suppress those which are producing pro-inflammatory things, right? So that's how we derive the nutrition intervention again. Superfood, enjoy, moderate, and avoid. Similarly, we have supplement recommendations for vitamin, mineral, antioxidant, food extract, adaptogens, prebiotic probiotics. Again, these are not standard. These are for unique biology. We'll tell you how much of each you need, right? Which is unlike a lot of these OTC probiotics, right? So this is how your biological analysis looks like. For instance, I have to see biological, so I have to see which score is average, right? So I can see, okay, ammonia is average. So you click on, you can see what this means for you, right? So it's so similarly, if I have to see suboptimal in biological, you can see, okay, my bite rate is suboptimal. What does bite rate means? What is suboptimal means for you? What is your score, right? So again, so these are all the data culminated from your molecular data we have collected. So we are the only company in India actually collecting a lot of molecular data around your human biology, right? Again, we have disease prediction, so you can look at predictable, which again tells your disease prediction model. So the sample reports so probably take account of 17 pathways and tell you the risk of developing diabetes. Similarly, you can also see risk of developing cardiovascular disease at 10 pathways, right? Now comes to nutrition guidelines. These are guidelines which you have to follow, right? In terms of how you should structure your pantry, what does superfood means, how you can structure your meal, right? So there are a lot of these, interesting guidelines for you before you start following your having your diet properly. You should best read all these, right? And these are self-explanatory, right? So now comes to your nutrition interventions, right? So when we talk of nutrition interventions, right, we look at, okay, I have to see, let's assume green vegetable, I have to see which is in moderate list, right? These are in moderate list. Now I have to see which foods does not spike my insulin, right? These are the foods, mustard and Chinese cabbage, right? Generally, medium spike again. So again, it is not sugar spike, it is insulin spike, right? It is what is happening at a molecular level. So you may say, okay, how beetroot or spinach can spike my blood sugar level, classic my insulin level, right? But there are a lot of molecular interaction happening. So in spinach again, we talk about the oxalate metabolism, right? So phenogreek leaf, maybe ammonia. So there are a number of factors which determine that. Similarly, you have to see, okay, milk and fermented product, which is my enjoy list, right? So these are the enjoy foods, right? So you can see tempeh, cultured milk. You can see how much of you have to consume, right? So suppose cafe is 20 ml, right? Again, enjoy is 8 to 10 times. So you can consume kefir up to 20 ml a day, up to 8 to 10 times a week, right? So you can structure accordingly, right? So these are the recommendations. Now coming on the Indian in the way Indians work, right? So we generally look for support. We generally can't. It's something say okay someone कोई मेरी डाइट बना दे ये तो ठीक है but there is a customer who कोई डाइट प्लान तो दो you know these are the things, right? Because people can't they think I need some helping hand to structure this diet. So now again you say okay I have to again spend 2,000 3,000 bucks on a nutritionist or a coach, right? So let us demystify that as well, right? So now we have this thing which is again first of its kind. It's not anywhere even globally, right? So based on your recommendations, right? Let's assume lentils and legumes. Let's assume moderate, right? Let's take moat bean. Now I want to have moat bean in lunch and dinner, maybe on Tuesday, Friday, Thursday, Monday, and I want to have suppose 15 grams. Let's assume, right? So I add to the chart. So you add to the chart. Now you can like this, you can make your chart for next 7 days, breakfast, snacks, lunch, evening, dinner, right? And you can even download it from here. So you can make your charts using our platform. You don't need a nutritionist to tell you what I should eat on Monday in breakfast or what I should eat for lunch in Wednesday or what I should eat on Saturday, right? This is you don't need a nutritionist or spend money or again because nutrition they'll say this is not right ये इसमें explain होता है you are missing this protein that protein this supplement that supplement.
We have experienced that because, with one of our customers, a nutritionist had tampered with their diet and he ended up in a very bad situation. So I can
Mhm.
totally agree to it. But
Yeah.
yes, this is pretty much useful for the people, and I think they can definitely benefit from this function. So with this, I also would like to ask you, what have been your observations, after having hundreds of people sign up for this thing? What are the kind of improvements that we have seen overall? Is there a data that we can say that, okay, what is the
So
percentage of
this
people?
I'll add here that what happens is a lot of these companies would do add okay we reversed diabetes, we overcame constipation, we lost weight, our energy level is blah blah blah. All these things are maybe right. I'll give 50% benefit of doubt, but 50% may be wrong. It may be fluke. It may be made, and that's a reality, right? This everyone knows, only thing people don't speak, right? So they may be cooked or maybe paid reviews also, right? So we don't focus on that, right? So now customers want to see whether I have whether my IBS or my constipation has improved. Go here, it has these are clinically validated questionnaires used by all clinical research companies globally to check the efficacy of their clinical trials, right? So you can fill up this form on your own as a customer, and you can see what is my score, right? So if you see severity 0 to 30 score is normal, you are fine. If it's moderately affected, 31 to 90, 91 was highly affected, right? So these you can check on yourself, and these are the data we are collecting on the back end, right? So we can tell you, okay, how percentage of customers, how they improve their symptom based on the response to these clinical questions. And that is not something that is customers have this dashboard, they can themselves fill up this, form and check how these things improving. And again, we have these 6 month plan where we first give you a diet for a month. After 1 month, we track your symptoms throughout this phenotype form, right? And again, you know, based on your input, based on improvement in symptoms, we change your recommendations, right? And again, that recommendation work for 3 months. So it's evolving based on your how your functions of microbiome changing. After 3 months, again, you do the same thing. We give the recommendation for 2 months, right? So within 6 months period, you get three different set of recommendation based on improvement in your symptoms and improvement in your biological functions, right? Plus, you can also check against your, these clinical validated scores. So this is not something we are cooking or we are doing ads on Facebook and bringing some customer asking them to say this or, asking them to say, okay, my constipation is gone, I have reverse diabetes, my HbA1c has gone, I'm feeling more. These all are, stories. Anyone know who would believe that? On what is the basis of saying that this is correct or there's some clinical evidence or not? And that's why we have built this clinical questionnaires, right? So we are going to even publish this. We are going to publish through blogs that how many customers through these forms have improved their symptoms, right? So this is completely science driven. Our platform is backed by 30,000 plus scientific literature. There's no anecdotal evidence. There's no belief system. There's no human involvement, human decision making here. It's all data driven, right? And this is something which is not done by any of the microbiome companies in India because we are the only one focusing on the functional microbiome, right? Not on the existence of the microbiome alone, right? So most of the companies focus on microbial DNA, which says, okay, this microbe is there, there may be chance that you may develop this disease. But we go from correlation to causation. You determine, okay, this bacteria is there, this bacteria is expressing a gene in your body which is going to trigger inflammation. It is expressing a gene in my body which is going to give me nutrients, right? So it is very, very unique for every individual, right? And that's the beauty of our platform. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. So, with this, I think we have given a lot of information about what we have done as a platform, what we have developed in terms of our technology and science. And let's just stay tuned for another episode where we are going to cover an entirely new topic. And Sushant, I highly propose we should talk about pregnancy this time because this is a very important aspect in a individual's life. It is important both for the father and the mother and the family, right? And this is something which has been dealt with a lot of generic advices. Yeah. So I highly propose the next episode is something we should do about pregnancy and what kind of how nutrition is going to impact it.
Yeah, sure. And just to close the conversation, I'll urge everyone listening to it, right? If you are going to want to take care of your health, first thing is appreciate that nutrition is medicine, right? Understand what medicine your body needs via nutrition, right? Based on your unique biology, do not fall for fad diets. I'm not saying just sign up for my product. I'm saying even if you want to talk, right? You don't want to sign up, you want to discuss your situation, we'll be happy to have a conversation, right? There is no charges. We don't charge 199 rupees like companies charge for some sort of, seminars or webinars, right? So it's entirely free information and knowledge which we share and if you want to really your nutrition choices is driven by your biological and molecular data, right? Your biochemical functions, not by some CGM machine, not by some blood works. Right? It is all half-hearted approach of fighting with diseases. Right. So that's it for today. Have a great day ahead, and thank you very much.